Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
Hey man, all right, so I just got one question. Is there anything, like looking back, if you could, just one thing that you can do over if you could? Just one thing though. Choose wisely. Just one thing.
I was like, oh, that's a pretty big question. Huh. One thing. So like not necessarily anything that I regret, but
No.
just something that like if I could do it again. Man,
Come on, Mo. Get it together, man.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. You got one? Because I mean, I've lived a good life. Just saying.
Okay.
I mean, outside of this, quarantine haircut I got right now, or lack of, everything else has been pretty peachy clean. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're stupid. So if
Boys
that,
in need the Clippers.
wow.
But anyway.
So if there's one thing that I can change in my past, you know what? I think one thing that I personally would have changed, I would have did a study abroad program.
Huh.
I feel that. I definitely feel that.
I can dig that. Where?
I don't even think it would have mattered, but I think being able to take advantage of that opportunity because it presented itself to us and we could have did it. I think if I had to do it all over again, I would really do that. I've talked with some people that had a chance to do study abroad from other schools, or even at Georgia State where we went to school at, and they just said it was a life changing experience.
Mm.
So I think that's one thing I probably would have looked into a little bit more and thought about doing. Um, that's just one of probably many things that
Yeah.
I would do differently or change that I didn't do. What about you, Jenny?
That ironically, that was actually one of the things that I was gonna say, man. Just because I know that would have gave me the opportunity to do one of the things I really enjoy doing now, travel. And I think, well, I know the reason why I didn't do it is because I was just closed minded. Just thinking that, oh man, I got so many things I'm trying to do now, and not even thinking about how big the world is. Because of course, back then, the internet is nowhere near where it is now. But in my mindset, I was thinking like, man, but I got to make these beats though. and, truth be told, I could have easily did that over there. You know what I'm saying? But for the sake of having something different, I would say what I would have done is just um, manage finances a lot better than I did early on. Um, and really, it's because it wasn't that I was like a crazy spender, but I just didn't. I wasn't consciously saving anything. I wasn't thinking about 10 years from now. You know what I'm saying? I was more so like, oh, I'm going to get it. I've always had that mindset of I'll get, the money back or whatever. And so just having that foresight back then to say, like, you know what? No, I'm not going to lose hope scholarship so I can graduate and not have any student loans, and then graduating and taking a job. I probably would have took a job where I can get the highest salary possible so I could have stacked, as opposed to, oh, just I'm gonna work my way up type thing. You know what I mean? Having that, I think I was probably a little too optimistic at 18 to 22, when I could have been a little not. And there's nothing wrong with being optimistic, but I think I could have been a little more realistic during that time period and just like prepared some things that would have set me up, because I had like a 5 year of trying to uh, recuperate from all the damage I did as a young adult. You know what I mean? So I would have had a nice head start if I just would have handled that at an earlier age when I had the opportunity to.
Right.
That's interesting.
All right, Mo, we're back to you, man. Come on,
Yeah,
son.
it's a lot of things like shot through my head, from a lot of different eras. But I think I think I'm gonna settle down. JD Cup, JD, I'm gonna let you live on that one, JD.
We ain't gonna say it, but I caught
I
all
caught
that.
I caught it too. I didn't want to let you know I caught it.
Nah. See, that's y'all got to get your head out together.
I
Nah,
might not be as fast as I used to be, but I'm still quick.
you funny. You're old too. You're old, by the way.
Hey, let's not bring age in this.
Hey man,
I know, right?
I turned 36 this weekend, so
Oh, bro, I keep forgetting. Yeah, you got a birthday coming up.
Yeah,
quarantine birthday on the way.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out how to celebrate. But this is a good conversation because of that, because it's kind of reflective. I think I would have purchased a property at a younger age. It's interesting, man. I would have loved, like looking back, I would love to have ownership in a property, like coming into marriage. Like my wife, she had already done that, and that was a big move, and for somebody her age to kind of have that insight, like let me go ahead and get a house. Now, granted, there's probably a few things she would have done differently, about that process. I think being older, being wiser, so on and so forth. But had I done the same thing, the selling of one of those properties when we got married would have been like seeds that we could have put in a different direction, or keeping that property and renting it out.
Right.
It would have gave us kind of that head start in a way that a lot of our Black families don't get a chance to do, let alone ever think about, let alone ever realize is a thing. I mean, flipping homes is kind of a new term, right? So not new, but it's something that's becoming a little more seen, and people are kind of taking their chance at it a lot more. But I would have just loved the opportunity to kind of come into this phase of life with that under our belt. And I just can only imagine how much further along to where we want to be we would have been at this point, had I done that. But I mean, I was kind of like you, JD, it was grind season. Forget corporate America. You wanted to go work for yourself, which is commendable. It's a great thing. It went very well. And I just didn't have the knowledge or the insight to think along anything relatively close to that.
Right.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I wish I had that knowledge a lot earlier.
While you speak about that, I think another thing that I would have done or took advantage of would have been internships. Because
that's big.
Yeah, because I did an internship in my master's program, and man, it changed my life, and I made so many great connections that even to this day, I have really good connections that and these are people in very high places right now. And so I wish I would have did that more frequently through undergrad, because if you couple that with my master externship, man, the connection and the network I would have had probably would have been so much bigger. I still have a pretty good network from college, from Georgia State days, but I just think having that wider net, I think would have put me in a tremendous position coming out of college, to JD's point, to where I could have got that better paying job, or I could have been further along, or I got a head start than where I started at, as opposed to just working my way up. So I wish I would have known more, because we always used to talk about the importance of a social network and things of that nature, even in college. But I don't think we really capitalize on the opportunities to build out that network. We build it out in different ways by going to parties and stuff. But,
Correct. We had acquaintances in different ways.
We had acquaintances, and we knew everybody on campus. Everybody knew us on campus. But I wish that I would have.
See, stop there, right there, right. I'm only gonna say this because my wife just came into the room. She don't believe that we was popping in college, bro.
Man.
Well, I'll just say legendary.
Yeah. Hey, JD. You can tell her to ask Tasha, because Tasha, like, there was nobody in college that they didn't know. So let's tell her to ask Tasha.
Oh, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Tasha. Shout out to Tasha.
Yeah.
And, you know, my wife will probably hate on us a little bit, but I think she knows. She know what it was. She knows she was connected to 309. You know what I'm saying? 309 was the home base for a lot of things.
Yeah.
She mad right now.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Hey, I will say this, though, man. Tori, you bring up an incredible point. Like, my internships were A1, bro. Like, and honestly, all of them maybe not as A1 as one main one, but like that internship with the Grammys.
Yes.
Right. That was a good one.
I remember that one. Man, bro, like, I want to pause right now because you got us in to be able to see Carrie Hilson at the time.
Man.
When she was on and popping. Man, I mean, shout out to you on that, man. You really put us at a good spot at that time, man. Hey, Carrie, how you doing?
Henny and apple juice, bro.
Yeah, and there it is. And there, Jay, I remember that time we got to get a chance to go to the Maroon 5 concert.
Yep, you know, Maroon 5.
You mentioned that in a previous episode.
Yep.
It was another group too. I think Panic at the Disco.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was good times, man. But yeah, like speaking of internships, bro, like it is one thing. I mean, like I was just so naive to the whole process of intern. Well, not even just naive. I don't know what I was on, man. Because you know, Mo and myself, I think H2, we were all at DTP at one point in time, and
I was too.
And Purple Ribbon.
Yeah, and Purple, and
Purple Ribbon.
And I think looking back, looking back on that experience, I could have took more of an advantage of that. You know what I mean? I think I was in that mindset of like, I already know what I want to do, and I don't necessarily want to be at this one spot, but I could have utilized that way more looking back on it. I was just kind of not necessarily happy to be there, but it was one of those things where in my mind I always knew I wasn't going to stay there, as opposed to trying to use that to get another position in the music industry. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking like that. I was like, no, man, I want to intern, bro. Try to get these beats off, and like not thinking that, you know, I could have easily been a producer at DTP, you know what I'm saying, if it could have worked that angle.
But to that point, man, I just thought about that time that we was there, because I think you guys got into that internship a little bit different than how I came into it. But man, the people we met, I mean, we met everybody who was anybody. I came
B. Lawson, right?
Yeah, I came into B. Lawson through another friend from another business venture that I was helping out with. And then I was like, wait, you guys are there as well? So it was just it was a great experience. I mean, we met every happening Atlanta artist in the 2000s through that.
That's true.
And that's go ahead.
And I was gonna say, and to this day, I still keep in contact with some of them. You know, having the opportunity to sit down and talk with Jeff and Shaka, having the opportunity to talk with Sharifa, which was an up and coming artist at the time,
right?
And then the countless other people that we was able to meet. Y'all remember the video shoot we got? We went to through that connection. I mean, it was just such a great thing, man, to meet one of the best video producers at the time, Hype. You know, at the time, man, it was just that was one of those things that once again, I wish I would have took more advantage of the internships and the different connections we could get, man. Didn't mean to interrupt you, Mo, but I just
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, it's crazy. Like, I think y'all alluded to like networking, earlier, and I wish I cared enough back then to like network the way that I could have. And granted, bro, I did a lot. Like, like I found myself in a lot of situations, with all these different internships. I mean, from the Grammys, which is incredible. Shout out to Aaron and Michelle, still holding down the Atlanta chapter. I got to meet Chris Brown, like during his first, like it was so many different people that I was in front of during that time there, or at Perp, or at DTP, and even just the network of the up and coming people around us. I mean, from Paris Kurt, Matt the Mayor, the list goes on. Ray Daniels, Rock City,
Right.
You know, all these different names of people that, you know, some I had great relationships with, some I could have massaged those relationships a lot better. And I think if
Right,
I was
right.
a little more aware of the importance of networking, I mean, it's just no telling what the network would be like. Now, granted, I have a lot of good relationships from that, you know, but could be a lot further, you
Right.
know, could
Yeah, I think like you were saying, is a lot of that has to do with, of course, you know, having foresight is one thing, but I think a lot of that, especially dealing with internships, is that you're just not thinking that far ahead. You're living in the moment, which is a good thing to live in the moment. But you know, walking into any internship and thinking that, hmm, this person that is the secretary at this internship might mess around and be like the VP in 10 years.
Yep.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're not thinking about that because, in a sense, I mean, okay, a lot of it has to do with pride and ego because we saw ourselves at a certain level already. But
And that's a
the
good
other
point.
thing is, yeah, because I mean, I look at, even if we using the same example of like the DTP, right? Like, we were in the promo department, but you look at the people that are in that department and where they were able to navigate where they're at now, and it's just like, oh,
Bro, we were
that's
surrounded,
what
bro.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
You
Yeah.
know,
You let Dean Paris, all that.
All of them.
Yeah,
one thing that came in mind. I don't know if you guys remember. I know a bit. It was potential benefit for all of us, but I think the meeting. It was me, JD, Corey, and Brian. But we had the opportunity to meet with the president of operations for Tyler Perry. You
oh
remember
yeah,
when
I was
yeah,
there
Tyler?
too. I
Oh
was
yeah,
there
you
too.
were. Okay, I couldn't
Hmm.
remember who I was there, but I
Yeah.
remember we was. This was back before he had the studios, guys. It
Right.
was
hmm,
just it was over there behind where now in Atlanta is Atlantic
17th
Station.
Street.
Yes, off 17th Street
Hmm.
where Atlantic Station is, but it was before all Atlantic Station.
That's
And
hmm.
crazy.
we really literally was in there talking to a up and coming mega super film producer, actor,
Right,
everything.
right.
Yeah.
We was talking with this team, and it was through those connections and networking. And you know, I just wish we would have been a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more thinking forward in that
Yeah,
particular instance, because I think that could have took us to a different level as well. But you live and
like
you learn,
seizing
and
that opportunity,
yeah,
seizing that
yeah.
opportunity.
I got a question for you guys, and it kind of
Mm.
spins off of what we're currently talking about. Like, but I'm going further back, you know, which is
Hmm.
going to require us to kind of tap into our memory a little more. You know, these are things that we've mentioned like in our young adult, you know, age, and obviously, you know, I'm sure there were intricacies about our college career, about our young adult life, maybe, you know, post high school stuff that we would just shift a little bit or experience a little more or something like that. Is there anything about your childhood that you would change?
When you say childhood, how far back?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, let's go early years, like maybe, you know, 8 through 12. You know,
Mm,
elementary, leading up to middle school. I mean, or middle school. Like, I mean,
mm.
it's like, what would you?
I can say for me personally, um, those ages, so like late elementary, middle school to middle school, I did a lot of following during that time period. Like, I got caught up in like gang culture, being a new kid at a school, not necessarily, trying to. I was just in an awkward phase. Like, I started at a new elementary school in fourth grade, and it was an elementary school in the middle of the hood, and I wasn't like from that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, I stayed not too far, but that wasn't the neighborhood that I was from. And so, you just kind of see everything around you and you just like, okay, I know this ain't necessarily me, but I'm kind of just like, I'm here. And so I spent a lot of, especially like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, being somebody who I really wasn't. And like legit living like a double life. Like, I would, you know, be the kid, do all my schoolwork, but like be trying to game bang, but then come home and the only thing that my parents know is I just all of a sudden love blue. Like, I just love blue. Like, oh, I want blue Dickies, blue chucks, like, you know what I'm saying? But that was the only thing that they could pinpoint. But I was still a regular kid at home. But once I left home, it was like Game Bang Central, and so I did a lot of following during that time period, where I feel like I could have found myself a little bit earlier. But looking back on it, it also helped to understand what it was to be a leader, because I started looking around. I was like, no, I don't want to do none of this stuff. And I was heavy into athletics in middle school, and I think that I could have worked harder on some of those things, because I've always loved baseball. But for me, baseball was just like a thing to do, not necessarily a thing to be. And I think if I was like at another school where those like would have been more opportunities, it would have been, the competition would have been the same, but it would have been more opportunities for me that I would have took it more serious than being at the school that I was at. The competition might have been a little bit more, but I was just surrounded by other things. You know what I mean? So I wasn't really. It was just like, yeah, I play baseball, cool, but I didn't take it serious. Like, you know what I'm saying? I went to practice and left practice and went to go home and burn CDs so I can make So I didn't take it serious or whatever. So I would say that's probably one of the things that I definitely look back on. I'm just like, yeah, I could have did something different.
Interesting.
So
what you thinking, bro?
One of the things I probably would have did, I probably would have tried to convince my parents to let me pursue like singing or acting. I think granted, it would have totally changed my life.
Right,
100%,
100%
from where I am now. But I think I would have tried to at least pursue that really, and really just focusing on that. I mean, me and you have dabbled and talked about it before, about at least the singing side of it. But I really think pursuing that to really be able to have a voice, to influence things. I think that's the biggest thing for me, being able to influence things for the betterment of people, So I probably would have pursued something like that. That's probably that's the only thing I can think of right now. There's some other things probably.
So you're saying you had Teddy Riley dreams, you was trying to be that dude.
Man, well, you got to remember, we had Michael Jackson, we had Keith Sweat, we had
right.
You was that guy. You was the R&B head. You definitely
definitely. Still is. Tori's the only dude I know.
Still.
We could be 4 deep in the car and Tori would have the R&B.
I would crank it up. I would crank
straight
it up.
jamming.
Yeah.
We all looking around like, what?
Yeah. So yeah, but I think that's probably the things I would try to change.
I like that. All right, I'm gonna go deeper. Well, I don't know if it's deeper, but it's just deep for me, right? And I don't know if I actually, well, obviously I don't have the power to change this, but if I could change it, I would. I would have a sibling. I would have a sibling. I'm an only child.
It's overrated. It's overrated. I'm gonna let you.
But it's not. It's no. Oh, you mean having a sibling? Listen, trust me. I see it every day. I see it every day with my 4, which is mind blowing to me on a daily basis, because I'm sitting here like, why are y'all tripping over each other so much? But I mean, my wife's just like, it's just that's how it goes,
Yeah.
It is.
The older or the younger. When you're the younger, your job is to get on the older's nerves and so on and so forth. And I'm just like, okay, I guess. And interesting enough, like I'm saying this as a person that truly appreciated being an only child, because more than anything, it wasn't really about like having your own and not having to share. Like, I don't really care about that stuff. It's like to have that space was huge. Like, like really I could just sit in my room at night, like silence, or sit in my room and listen to music. You just kind of had space to do you.
Right.
And it doesn't really go back to like sharing things. It's just more or less like there's no interference with your progression, But on the flip side of that, I've always wanted a little sister. Like I've always wanted a little sister. you know, and I guess this is why I probably made really close friends in my neighborhood and in my schools, you know, like even to some degree, like our you know, you guys, like, you know, I consider y'all my brothers. You know, I got another set of two homeboys that I've known since I was like 6. They're like brothers to me, you know, and I think I've probably drawn a lot closer to my external relationships because I didn't have siblings.
Right.
But I've always wondered what it would be like. You know, how would that change my perspective, the whole dynamics about life? You know, it would have been very interesting to grow up with somebody else in my home. So that's something I always think about.
Yeah, you saying that, man. I always wonder what it was like to go to school with a brother or like go to school with a sibling. I had, you know, a cousin, and you know, we were very close. But we how can I put my cousin that I went to school with? We were very close, but we weren't necessarily like we're not the crowd that we wouldn't hang out with each other outside of. Like if we were not family, we wouldn't hang out with each other type thing. And that's not like a diss, but we just have different interests. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I wonder what that would have been like to have a sibling in school, you know, in high school, and right. So I'm interested to see like how my girl's gonna be, because they 2 years apart basically. So they'll pretty much be in school together, you know, throughout their whole life. So I'm interested to see how their dynamic is gonna be. But that's one thing I always wonder what that would have felt like. Cause I mean, y'all know it's a gap, bro. I got like my older brother is 9 years older than me. My younger brother is 9 years younger than me, and my sister is 16 years younger than me. So it's like it's a gap. It's a huge gap, bro, between all of us. So yeah.
Mm.
Well, I'm kind of similar to you. Like my closest sibling was like, it's about 5 years older than me. Well, 5 years, 4 years older, but 5 years because of how
School, yeah.
school is. Um, so I kind of went to school by myself, but at the same time, since my whole family went to the same school district, everybody knew me. My oldest sibling, my oldest sibling is 10 years older than me. So, I every grade I went through, you what's his name, little brother? Yeah. Yeah, I am.
That's funny.
So it was always
same teachers and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, what we all of me and all of my siblings didn't have the same teachers, but it was at least one of them that had any teacher that I had, except for like maybe new teachers and things like that they start their career. Yeah. But outside of that, they be like, "Oh, you're Martin? Okay, yeah, I know you." And then my mom was a teacher, so everybody knew me. It couldn't be me.
Yeah, definitely. That's funny.
What about high school? Because I mean, do y'all even remember high school?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember it, bro. I remember.
For some reason, bro, like I remember pieces, but it's just like, and it's not even that I had any bad experiences in high school. I feel like I had a really good high school experience, but it just seems so far removed from like right now. Like I can probably talk with people about it and start remembering things. But I feel like, man, when I walked out of my high school, me and another group of friends was just like, deuces, we're done. And I remember
I know a lot of people like that though. That, well, I'll ask you this, like, so in high school, were you like active at school, or were you kind of like there, did work, and then like came home?
I was somewhat active. I mean, I ran track for 2 years. I didn't play basketball through like my entire career, but I started out in ninth grade with it, and I just got locked into music, and I stepped away from sports. But I knew everybody. I was cool with everybody. I didn't really have no enemies except for maybe one or two people randomly. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't know like in the shell guy. I mean, I was pretty similar to college. I ain't had no beef with anybody. I was cool with everybody, in the mix with everybody, all cultures, all creeds. It didn't matter. I don't know, man. I don't know what it was about it. I don't know what it was about the experience that made me just kind of be like, I'm good on this. I think it was weird for me. Let me just kind of give the backstory. So I grew up in South Side of ATL, College Park, before it was called South Fulton. Like this is for real, for the real College Park.
Right.
I went to school down here for all the way through top of 8th grade, and then my dad wanted to move closer to his church, so we ended up moving up to Gwinnett County, which at the time was totally different than it is now. Namely like the Grayson Snellville area. Which is what Snellville is like. I mean, you're gonna see people of color all over the place. When I got there, I was one of 9 black kids in my entire middle school.
Mm.
So it was a culture shock. I went from all black area to like, man, what in the world is going on around here? I got called a nigger within like the first 2 weeks of middle school of that 8th grade year. So it's definitely a difference. But with that, I got exposed to a lot of culture that I had no idea about. Now, in hindsight, I'll debate a lot of those things that I got exposed to in terms of like whether or not they were authentic for who I
Right.
am as a black man. But needless to say, I got to see a different side of the world, a different side of America, so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had some really good friends from college. None of them, ironically, I'm still friends with. If I see some people that I was close with, I mean, it's no beef or anything like that, but I'm not close to those people anymore. But at the end of the day, when I walked away from that place, I was good. I felt like I had done all I could do. I experienced everybody I could experience, and I was ready for the next phase. I was ready to get back to Atlanta, which is why I chose Georgia State. And I feel like my college memories are a lot more impactful in terms of
Mm.
shaping me than necessarily my high school. I just feel like high school was just high school. So I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I don't lock into any of those memories that much.
So
Mm.
once again, for me, I probably would say I probably would have focused a little bit more on track. I ran track from middle school up to high school. I lettered in track. Uh, I went to state every year in track.
Wow. So you was the real
Uh,
deal.
oh yeah, I did play games. I did play games.
Yeah.
I just wish I would have really capitalized on that.
Mhm.
Um, but I think because I was just tired of the practice and things of that nature, I really didn't
Yeah.
just focus in on it. I had some potential opportunities to go run track in college, so I think if I would have followed through on that a little bit more,
Mhm.
um, and probably try to run, in college and maybe even professional. Um, so I think
Gotcha.
that's one of the things I would have changed about it. But once again, it would have drastically changed my life.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
so, uh, but I think if the younger Tory would probably have tried it, stepped out there and tried
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, it's crazy, man. Cause like I remember high school. Um,
it. And I was the
like
man in
very,
high school too, just like college.
Yeah.
So I was the
Yeah.
bro.
same
Like
person.
Same.
I was definitely the same person in high school as well, man. Like of course I played baseball. Freshman year, I started playing football and I quit. It became a job, and I was like, I'm cool on this. Like y'all practicing the first day of school. I'm just trying to like become like a high schooler or whatever. But um, I look back on it. High school really shaped a lot of what I do now indirectly, and I didn't even realize it. Like just the fact that I went to a high school where it was a fine arts magnet school, and my area of study was mass media. And so, I'm in the ninth and 10th grade learning how to edit video and not even really realizing, I'm just there doing it, but I'm learning to edit video. I was like a cameraman, editor for the news team. And so,
Completely speaks to who you are now.
Yep.
right, right. And, I definitely had a love for music at that time too. And I was, you know, making beat tapes and mixtapes and selling CDs. And so a lot of the things that I did, just that started that entrepreneurial spirit started in high school. Like I was selling candy CDs and doing trips to Six Flags and like organizing events. So it's crazy that I look back on it. A lot of the things that I'm doing now, they actually started and were shaped in high school. And not that I had I guess you can say it was a passion, but I didn't recognize it as a passion. I was just kind of doing it. It kind of came natural. So, for me, Yeah, I look back on a lot of those things shaped and were the start of the things that I'm doing now. And, some things that were, it's kind of like it started in high school and got cultivated in college. And then as we went on to adulthood, kind of fine tune some of those things. So a lot of that stuff started there in high school for me. And so, yeah, I remember it. Like, I mean, Tori, I feel you, bro. I was Mr. Senior and all of that stuff. But the one thing that I can say about high school that I was very appreciative of was like I was able to be in a wide group of different people. Like I didn't have to hang with just like the black kids. I didn't have to hang with just like the white kids. So because I did different things, baseball, I related to, athletes from that side. Like the music stuff and doing the trips, I related on that side and being in different clubs, all of that. I did a lot of things. So I was able to legit kind of be in all of these different circles and pockets in high school and kind of learn how to really talk to different people, you know what I mean, comfortably and not feel the need to like, oh yeah, let me just hang over here, you know what I mean? So I didn't have that problem, man. I could go anywhere I wanted to go and then the thing that was beautiful about it, I can go any one of those different groups and just be me. I didn't have to feel like I had to be different when I was over there or different when I was over here. You know what I mean? So that was one thing I was appreciative of. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
God,
hmm,
before we wrap up, I have, you know, a question of my own. It's really a two-parter, probably. So, but I'll
Okay.
let you decide which one you want to work answer. So, post college, so post undergrad, is there anything that you would have done differently or would have liked to done, or is there a defining moment that sticks out to you in your life? So I think
mm.
you can take it either one of those directions. If you want to talk about the defining moment of your life, or if there's something you would have done different, different, or would have took advantage of post college, or you can answer both together.
I was gonna say, is it okay to answer both?
It
Because
is.
I
It
have
is.
an answer for both. And I'll start. I think the post college is easy for me, man. I think I would have tried to live in a different city. Um, I had an opportunity to move to LA at one point. With being deeply involved in the music industry and everything. And honestly, man, I feel like, and the only way I can honestly explain this, and the reason why I did not move in that direction is because God shut it down. I just feel like it was like a moment where I had a plan, a path, a direction, and for some reason it hit a pit stop. Well, long life, had I moved in that direction, and so purpose always designed for reasons unknown.
Hmm.
God has a purpose and a plan. So that kept me from moving out west when I was definitely headed in that direction. And Tori, to answer your other question, man, which is something that every now and then I reflect on, and I honestly feel like this is one of the key moments in my life that set the tone for a lot of for a major part of the direction of my life.
Hmm.
Second grade, right? Long time ago. Second grade. Um, my wonderful favorite teacher of all time, who was actually my second grade teacher and my fifth grade teacher, Miss Tina Curtis. Shout out to Miss Tina. If you out there, Miss Tina, you impacted lives. You were great. And so many people loved you. She even got a chance to teach like, Keenan Thompson from SNL. Like she's just remarkable, a remarkable woman. So I hope she knows that she's appreciated. I'm sure so many other students of hers would say the same thing. She saw talent in me and gave me like the lead singing part in like a school musical type of situation.
Mm.
Random, right? Something you would think would never impact somebody. I did not want to do it. I was nervous. I was scared. Somehow, some way, she saw the talent. She looked me in the eye and told me that she believed in me. And
Mm.
from that point on, music has always been attached to me. Now, granted, I probably would have began doing music at some point. It was embedded in my family. My dad's, my uncles, my whole family are full of musicians. But what I've had the confidence to do it the way that I did it, I don't think I would have without her setting that tone in that one pivotal moment and looking at me. I'll never forget it because I think it was a game changer for me. And that's second grade, so that's the moment.
That's first off, that's a great question, Tori. I think for me there were several moments that just kind of shaped everything. Um, number just going down the teachers lane, there were two teachers, well three. So my fifth grade teacher, Hazel Wilson, she was just absolute. She was one of those people that she loved to party, but she made it understood that we don't party until the work is done. And so I just learned work ethic being in her class. Um, the other teacher was Mr. Nelson. He was my mass media teacher, of course. So that's just that, that's self-explanatory. The other teacher was Coach White. Coach White was our marketing teacher, DECA director, mentor. He's a guy that I looked up to a lot, and he really gave me that push to kind of open my eyes about marketing because before meeting him, I didn't have any clue about marketing like intentionally. I may have been doing some things indirectly, but it was just like, look, man, you're really good with people. You should really look into how to work with others. You know what I mean? And like you're that's something that you do well, whether you know it or not. And so that kind of opened my eyes to that direction. So those are like just three people that I always kind of look to help shape some things. But um, the other moment was honestly, bro, like truthfully, after college, um, just realizing that the brotherhood that we built in college was still intact. And we were able to truly help each other all like become men um, in some shape, form, or fashion. Like we all play a different role in each other's lives, and you know what I mean. Like we all we all were impacted by the recession. You know what I'm saying? But like, I mean, all of us in different ways. But just to see like how we were able to, I mean, Tori, no, I used to
I
crash
had a
on.
joke just then when you said that. You were like, we were impacted by the recession. I was like, the actual recession or like the Jeezy album? Because both.
Both, both, both. But like I mean, I can think of countless nights of and one homeboy, my roommate Corey, like 3 months of rent, and sleeping on Tori and Brian's couch because I didn't want to be at home owing my homeboy. Like I couldn't, just the man in me, just I couldn't look at his face and just like, bro, I owe you like I owe you like 3 months of rent. Like, and I'm like, I just that was just tough to do. So, just those moments, and all of us, like even music industry, like Marlon and Ace, whether they know it or not, like just allowing me to just come and literally be a fly on the wall in sessions with Rock City and Verse and Sham and just like, yeah, bro, just come to the studio when I ain't have nothing, absolutely nothing going on. Like I literally had nothing. Just like, yeah, bro, just come and hang out. And so it's just like everybody, even all the way up to Brian, like literally changing his entire life and opening up everybody's eyes to like, oh, like if you change, bro, like yeah, I need to get my life together for real. You know what I'm saying? And so
that was a pivotal
yeah,
moment.
all of those things, and just even with Chris, just like watching Chris' journey, and Chris has told y'all about it, but seeing where he is now compared to where he was, like nobody saw that. You know what I mean? Even that's a true transformation of a man. And so like all of those examples, bro, like that really helped shape who I am today, knowing that we went through some stuff. Like legit went through some stuff. So yeah, man. Everybody did. Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and then, for me to, I try to close it out after these two great,
Well,
stories.
you asked the question, bro.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
For me, I think, what would I change after college? I think like you, Marlon, I would have took more risk, you know,
Yeah.
um, more chances on myself and betting on myself.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
I can make it
Absolutely.
happen.
Absolutely.
You know, I fortunately have been able to live on the East and the West Coast. I lived in DC for a while, lived in
Hmm.
LA for a brief minute as well. Uh, but I think I would have pushed myself and challenged myself definitely on the West Coast because I didn't stay out there long enough.
Hmm.
I think I really, really challenged myself a little bit more and really just bet on me. Um,
Hmm.
so I think so I think taking more risk post
Hmm.
graduating from undergrad would be one of the things I do.
That's real.
And from a monumental moment in my life, I JD took my first one, which is you guys and the impact that you guys have had on my life and vice versa.
Hmm.
But I think the other thing will be uh, being able to intern in the White House
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
That's big.
for the
Yeah, bro.
first and only at this point African American
Right, right.
president of the United
Yeah.
States of America. That really just
Wow.
opened my eyes and it really put my career in a trajectory that I never would have been on if it wasn't for that. You
Hmm.
know, it pushed me to be more aggressive in the work that I do. It pushed me
Mm.
to excel and and not stand for just anything in the work I do. And so I do contribute that particular moment uh, what catapulted me.
Hmm.
And then the other one I would say, and I'm quite sure you guys would say it as well, is marrying my wife.
Yeah.
That was a
Factual.
very very monumental moment in my life as well. From being able to start a family, being able to for us to connect as one, and then being able to progress now to we own our own, we got our own home, we both have successful careers, and then two of the best things that we ever did was we have twin girls. So
Hmm.
uh, I
Yeah.
think for me those are the life changing moments in my life uh,
Mm.
that I
Powerful,
can
man.
point out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And just to shoot, Mo and myself both some bill like that. That was understood. We ain't even have to say that. That was already.
I actually mentioned it, so you and you in the room with your wife, so you yeah.
Oh, she's sweet. She's sweet.
Okay.
Oh, but
Yeah, man. All day.
so
All day,
what's
bro.
gonna be the black man think thought of the night, man?
Oh
Like
man,
thought.
that's. You know what? Seize the moment. Seize the opportunity.
See, I
You know.
told you after 12 o'clock you be on, man.
He do though.
Yeah,
He do.
man.
He do.
Seize the opportunity. We did a lot of reflecting on this episode,
Carpe diem,
and
right? Carpe diem.
Yeah,
yeah,
carpe diem.
yeah, seize today, seize today, and I do want to go on record and say like we're reflecting, um, for the sake of reflecting, but we're not regretting, and I think that's a very important distinction because when you start to live in the past, then that regrets come in, and then you start to not appreciate where you are. But it's okay to reflect. You know what I mean? It's okay to reflect and think about some of the things that you've done, and look at how they shaped who you become today, and just being real with yourself, knowing like, oh, if I would have did some things differently, I could have helped set up some things for the future um, better. So, reflect, not regret. You know what I mean? So,
And I just want to
that
make
would be
one
it.
statement too before you
Mm-hmm.
close it out. I am proud of the man that I am today. I wouldn't
One
change
hundred
who I
percent.
am
There you
today.
go. There you go.
So I just want to
One
make
hundred
sure
percent.
we just want
Yeah.
to make sure that we follow up, and let you guys know that what we're talking about is that if there was a time that we got was taken back, and this stuff never happened, what has happened to today,
Hmm.
would we have
Mm-hmm.
did some things differently if we know something better? I think everybody would say yes to that.
Absolutely.
But I would not
Yeah.
trade my life right now for anything. I love it. So we just wanted to reflect and let you know that, as you get older, you're supposed to impart wisdom to the younger generations. And so we're basically imparting that knowledge to you on things that you should tackle and going forward in your life. So
yeah.
But you preaching now. You preaching. That's a bar, though. That's a bar. But look, man, it's the Black Man Think podcast, man. Thank y'all for listening. As always, subscribe, rate, and review. And send us questions, man. We want to be a little more interactive with you guys. So make sure you send questions. And if you have a concern or something that, a topic you may want us to cover or something that you legit just want to talk about, like send us those questions, DM us on our IG account, Twitter, all things social, man. Really, just go to blackmanthink.com and everything you need is there. But yeah, we want to hear from you. This is a two-way street. You know what I mean? So that's the most important thing. But hey, that's it. We'll see y'all next week. See y'all next week.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, guys.
See y'all next time.
Yeah.
The Black Men Think podcast.